Hi, I'm Dr. David Van Nuys, and I want to welcome you to the Juicy and Strong Immunity and Beauty Bootcamp. And the reason I'm here is because, unlike I assume many of you out there, we have been self-quarantining because of this global pandemic and because I find myself in that age group that is most at risk. And I know that many of you who might be viewing this are in a similar position. But I do come to you from a place with some wisdom to share with you. For the past 15 years, I've been doing a podcast called Shrinkwrap Radio. I started in 2005, which in fact was the very first year of podcasting, and actually have received an award from the American Psychiatric Association for my pioneering work in this format. And I know that from my conversations with various people that people who are self-quarantining are sometimes experiencing some stress as a result. So this truly is a difficult time that we're in. And as a consequence, it's a time where it's really important for you to take good care of yourself, good care of your, quotes, mental hygiene, if you will. So self-compassion. You know, one way of engaging in self-compassion is to write yourself a letter. I used to teach a class in which I would, on Valentine's Day, I would challenge students to write themselves a Valentine's card. And this might strike you. You might have this voice inside saying, oh, that's way too narcissistic. How could I do that? Why should I do that? But it's an exercise worth trying. We find it so much easier to extend love and compassion to other people than we do to ourselves. And yet, if we can't nurture ourselves, then we have not a whole lot to give to other people. So self-love, self-compassion is a kind of base upon which to build a compassionate and supportive kind of life for other people. Because we're here, I believe, to nurture one another and to support one another as much as we can. So seriously consider writing yourself a letter in which you praise yourself for your strengths, acknowledging your strengths and your gifts, your survival skills, the way that you have come through other tough situations in the past, and so on. Just use your imagination there. There's another tip that I'd like to share with you. It's a kind of meditation that I discovered for myself during a certain period in my life when we had twins born to us. We weren't expecting it. We thought we already had 2 kids. We thought that period of our lives were over. I found it hard to accept this change when it came along. And but once the babies, it turned out that they were twins, were in our lives, I recall sitting in a rocking chair, and I had these 2 little creatures, two boys, 2 sons, quite small at the time. And I was in the rocking chair, one on each shoulder, breast, chest, I don't know what to call this area here. And they were dozing, and their little consciousnesses were pulling at my consciousness. And I just felt myself sinking into a kind of blissful state. I imagine this is much like what mothers experience so much more readily than we males do, I think. I can imagine the mother, when she's breastfeeding, is feeling that intimate connection to the infant and the bonding that's going on. So that was going on for me, and I would feel in my heart a kind of quiet joy. I was reflecting on that one night in bed, and I began to focus on recreating that feeling, and found that by recalling it, and then I realized I could amplify it. Imagine a knob on a radio, old-fashioned radio with knobs, and turning the volume up higher and higher. And I began to feel that joy spread throughout my chest and my body, and I could turn it higher and higher until it got to a kind of intensity where I just couldn't maintain it anymore, and it felt like I would drop back down. So every now and then I remember to practice that meditation, which in fact I think is a very powerful one. And so I want to give that to you as my gift. A couple of ideas here is to practice self-compassion and to realize that your inner happiness, your inner joy is a choice. You can choose to go there. You can choose, there are lots of choice points in our life, but at any moment, at this moment, you can choose to go to that place deep down inside of self-acceptance, self-worth, and happiness, and let it expand and suffuse your whole being. As I close off here, I can't resist tossing in one more mental hygiene technique, which is to keep a gratitude journal. Despite what's going on right now in the world, there's always something, many things to be grateful for. And so let's focus on those. And if you write them down, it will have a very positive impact on your psyche. There's a lot of research to back that up. Now, speaking of research, let me plug my podcast before I let you go. Again, it's Shrinkwrap Radio. That's SHRINKRAPRADIO.com. You'll find it on iTunes or wherever fine podcasts are located. And also on iTunes, about 200 or 300 of my most recent interviews can be found on iTunes. If you do a search for Shrinkwrap Radio and the number 1, I think you'll find them that way on YouTube. There should be hundreds. If you just see a few, then you didn't get to the main repository, but it's there if you hunt for it. And I didn't set out to do nearly 1,000 interviews right now. And it turned out to be the magnum opus of my work, if you will, the large work of my career. And I have interviewed movers and shakers across the broad world of psychology, psychotherapy, and so on. Some of them are with major researchers. We cover topics, major researchers, major psychotherapists, major psychologists of all stripes, people who are the leaders in a wide variety of psychotherapies, leaders in the positive psychology movement, people in the spiritual integration with psychology movement. We've got interviews on dreams, on creativity, on just about anything that you can think of in the broad world of psychology. If you're a person, so you're interested. You've got to be interested in what makes us tick. And just come and give it a try. I've got nothing to sell. It's all free. And it's there, my gift to the world. So I want to thank you for the gift of your attention.